before we get to swine flu and like what it is and its origin and all the different ways it affects our lives and the potential problems it could cause, I'd like to give a little history of federal government intervention when it comes to medicines and stuff like that. And some of you guys may have already heard this stuff. It's just kind of interesting to hear some of the experiments and stuff that's been done by the federal government on common people. And 1932 to 1972, I don't know if anyone's heard of the Tuskegee experiment. It's in Alabama, and it was on 399 black men, and some of them had syphilis and some of them didn't. But these men were recruited to this doctor's office, and these doctors were being funded by the federal government. It was a study by the U.S. Public Health Service to see what the effects of syphilis are on the human body. Well, syphilis, even today, is still easily treated with penicillin. And penicillin began to be widely used in America and in Western medicine in the 40s for treatment of all kinds of different things. But these gentlemen, for the most part, were withheld proper treatment. They were withheld penicillin until the study actually made the news till the 70s. So, let's see. I think 20 of the men died. 100 died because of complications due to the syphilis. 40 of their wives were infected with syphilis. And there were 19 children born with defects because their parents had syphilis, which then made them have these strange birth defects. And this was all done to innocent, poor black men who had syphilis and thought they were going to get treatment for it. Part of the way these physicians got these black men to come to their offices, they had a black nurse. Her name was Eunice Rivers, and she kind of was the face of the program, and she could relate to them, and they could relate to her, and they felt comfortable with her. Well, they got a free health exam, a free meal, and they would just come in every once in a while and get tests on them. They did do crazy stuff like spinal taps and all kind of things to them in the advancement of science, which is really unfair to do to someone, especially if you don't know that that's being done to you.
That's dangerous.
And then there's some one that I'm not as familiar with that I was kind of researching today. Project MK Ultra. Some people may have heard of that. That basically was also Project Chatter, Project Artichoke, Operation Paperclip. These were all different names for kind of the same project where in the 1940s to 1960s, people were unwillingly experimented on with weird drugs like LSD and mescaline. You know, those are drugs that make you hallucinate. Basically, the CIA at that time were given $10 million by the federal government to see how to replicate techniques such as brainwashing and other things that the Nazis successfully used over in Germany. Operation Paperclip was the code word for the recruiting of those scientists who did those horrible things to all the Jews and the different people that Hitler had exterminated. The federal American government actually recruited those scientists to come over here and repeat those, and people like us pay for it through our tax dollars, which of course is very disturbing and it's almost unbelievable. It sounds like the X-Files or some science fiction movie. It doesn't sound like real American history, but it is. Another kind of disturbing thing, just to kind of set the tone before I get to the swine flu, is eugenics. I don't know if anyone's heard of eugenics. Basically, it's a study of how to make the human race or the human being better, how to create a superhuman. And that was actually pretty popular in the 20s and 30s. And there were actually 33 states in America sponsored those type of programs. Whereas if you were considered crippled, or you were considered, if you had a low IQ, if you had some sort of obvious defect, maybe you had a short arm or something, or you had some sort of psychiatric problem, you could be forcibly taken into custody, taken to court, and you could be taken to a hospital and sterilized. I think this happened to over, 65,000 Americans. 65,000 Americans were sterilized against their will. And what's kind of scary is that eugenics actually turned into Planned Parenthood, which is like a big cover for abortion. So a lot of people view abortion in the light of it's a woman's right, it's her body, it's this and that. But it's funny the spin on it, because the lady, the founder of the Planned Parenthood, which a lot of people like Hillary Clinton respect, was this lady, I think Margaret Sanger, I believe. Sanger, maybe. And at any rate, she kind of inspired the whole women's movement, but within that movement came the idea of you can basically, how you breed depends on your lifestyle, and if a child's inconvenient, you can just terminate it, which we can all agree is pretty appalling, but the spin and the way it was viewed back then, it was a way to empower women, which really was just a continuation of this strange eugenics program where people were sterilized, so they couldn't have any children. Everyone should have a right to have children. No one should be sterilized, or anything should be forced upon anyone, because we all have civil liberties protected under the Constitution and given to us by God or our Creator, whatever, however you see that. But a federal government that would do that to its own people it's something very frightening, and it's a government that's been our government for a while. But most young people don't know about that or are not interested in it. But it all actually happened in our time.